How much community service do you do per year? Well, think of that number and compare it to the average American who does a total of 16.5 hours per year. That's around 4 community service activities a year. I'll be honest with you, I've done around 130 hours of community service. But I may or may not have done it because I needed 25 hours of National Juniors Honor Society hours in order to get accepted, and 100 hours of community service at my school. To me, community service was just that thing that high schoolers did to improve their college resumes, the thing that old people did to pass by the times, and the thing that families did so that they could get cool Facebook posts. Even now, when I try to think that I'm doing community service for, the reason, helping the community and trying to do something that isn't focused about me, I still need 25 hours of community service for the National Honor Society. And one of my biggest problems across the years was just thinking about, oh yeah, I should do community service. That's like a good thing to incorporate in your day. It's good to help people, to not think about yourself. It's a good way to get some movement. But then it just does that. It just stays a thought. It doesn't ever progress past that. And I've been having this same experience for the past several years. And it's a little disappointing. I'm sure you feel that too. It's like, community service is something that you should probably start doing. But then it just never ends up happening for you. But it doesn't have to be this way. And it shouldn't be this way. You should do more community service because, it helps the community. It's in the name. But it's also got many personal benefits to yourself. That is really a cherry on top. That should make you consider doing more community service. For me personally, as I've begun doing more and more community service, I've really recognized a lot of benefits that I couldn't have had it otherwise. For example, I'm in a new community, namely being my church that I go to by myself. And while it's not the most appropriate thing to talk during church, and I feel a little awkward being at the coffee hour, not knowing anyone and whatnot, I still do my best to communicate because, I don't want to just be that loner that sits in the pews and then never talks and then just disappears. But community service has been a great way of being able to meet and have organic conversations with people and to connect with people in my community. And I found this in almost every community service activity I participated in. When I went to a food bank with my dad for just 3 hours, we both met 2 pretty cool people that was nice to talk to. We didn't keep in touch with them because I was a bit of a loner and my dad's also not the most socially inclined, but we definitely could have continued. When I did community service with a friend at the library, it was really nice to hear about these librarians there and their stories because my only communication with them was, here, I'm getting these 3 books, can you check them in for me? And be like, sure, and then that was it. For my school, they accepted this 80-minute block where I interned with a senator, basically, and helped set up community events. And that's a cool thing to put on your resume. Didn't get me into Harvard, but hey, I got nothing else to say. And I got a whole bunch of other ones, but basically the main idea was that it was a nice way of being with community and finding more connection than I would have had otherwise. But that's only one thing that I gained personally from these. There's exactly 3 things that all of these opportunities gave me that are probably the most important things you could want from any sort of activity in your life. Let's talk about those now. The first of the 3 major benefits I want to talk about is the sense of purpose you really gain for community service. Knowing that you're helping people and improving people's lives feels really good. Just make sure that you don't start looking down upon the people that you're helping, thinking them as less than or helpless or needing saving. Just try not to get a superior mindset. You're working on something that isn't just focused about yourself or your close family, but on the community as a whole. Because of this, volunteers are polled very highly and report having a feeling of impact on the world. This doesn't mean that they feel like they have the impact of, say, a world leader, but it does mean that they do feel like they are working on something bigger than themselves. The second most important thing community service does is something I've talked a ton about, which is connection. We're lonely. That's just a fact of the matter. The graphs, the statistics, all of it shows just how lonely we really are. But going to community service allows you to find and talk to so many people. Even if the people that you find and meet at community service you never speak to again, you still have that impact of social interaction with someone, which gives you a fulfillment in our lizard brain, making sure that we are good in the social standings. Because if you ain't talking to anyone, your life used to be at risk. Now you can live as a loner, but just not gonna be happy. But the best case scenario by far is that if you go to some place consistently enough, you can get long-term connection with someone and make friends, or even more than that if you're truly lucky. And imagine how romantic that would be if you found your partner doing community service to help the poor. Now the last one we gotta talk about is how people who do community service are on average healthier than those that don't. Basically, they've done some polling and some research, and people who do community service are on average having a better mood, less stressed, lower levels of depression, mostly from, having this sense of purpose, being fulfilled, having connection, and especially getting out of the house and moving, and thus having much less of a sedentary lifestyle than many of us have. But looking at this list over here, if I was gonna name 3 things that is like really important to someone, and I guess specifically Gen Z, because that's what most of you guys are gonna be, purpose, connection, and health are gonna be my top 3. So let's get you involved, shall we? Volunteering can seem pretty scary. You need to go to places you've probably never been before, and do things you've not done very much. The first thing I recommend is looking up places online. For example, the food bank that I went to that I was talking about earlier, I found online. It was convenient because I already had a list of all the things that I could do and how many people were going and how many spots were open, and told me what I would be doing in the activity. If there really is nothing online that's within a reasonable distance from you, then go to any sort of public area, like a church, a library, a school, stuff like that, and ask if there's any sort of community service opportunities that you could help with now or in the future. Then make sure you understand what you're doing, and that it's not gonna be glamorous, and it's probably not gonna be that much fun. And if you can, try to bring a friend with you, so that no matter what, even if you don't get along with any of the people there, you'll still be there with a friend and having fun that way. And then once you found a place that you enjoyed at least a little bit, try to go there consistently so that the other people that also go there consistently, you can start building a relationship with. And then don't forget to just do it and not put it off, because that's really step 0. None of this video or any of this advice is any helpful if you don't actually do it. But this goes deeper than just volunteering, Donate to charities in order for them to help other people. Try to support local businesses, even if it takes a few extra minutes out of your day to go there, and it costs a few extra dollars. Wouldn't you rather help a local who isn't a multi-million-dollar investor for the price of some minutes and some dollars, rather than just, saving that and giving more to Walmart? Try to maintain the environment. You don't have to be crazy. I wouldn't recommend trying to go 0, because that just means that you're taking on an entirely different lifestyle. But if you don't need something, don't get it. Like, I live in New York, so we don't have plastic bags at grocery stores anymore. But if you still are in an area that just gives out grocery bags, only take the amount you need. You don't have to let these people put 1 item in a grocery bag and then you end up with 20 grocery bags when you only really need 5. Plus, that stuff's bad for your health anyways. Plastic's really bad for it, so why not try to reduce the plastic? And try to take some roles in community organizations, whether that be the library or at your school or your church or the fire service or maybe the police. All these things that are very much helped by volunteers and kept around by volunteers, that large parts of society are dependent upon. All of this will help the community, but it will also make you more connected, more purposeful, and healthier. All this community service is going to be great for you, but it can be absolutely magnified if you can get stuff done without procrastination and all those silly excuses. I've got a video just for that will show you how to stop being lazy and ambitious and to just be ambitious. You can watch that video right over here. And don't forget to participate in community service, get your friends to join too, and think better. I'll catch you over in this video right here.